I get a call. They need me to go to the White House. Now, my assignment that day was to cover the Detroit Red Wings meeting the president. You know, we see this all the time, these photo opportunities where a team wins a championship and they go to the White House. The Ravens are going to do that shortly. So I go there. Now, so my assignment, again, was to cover the Red Wings. My goal that day, my objective that day, was to get an interview with the President of the United States. It wasn't my assignment, but that was what my goal was. You want to get somebody, what's the first thing that you have to do in any field? If you want to get access to somebody important, you have to figure out who's the gatekeeper. Who do I have to get through to get an audience with this person? Whether you're doing an interview or trying to make a deal or get a meeting or whatever. So I get the lay of the land and I figure out who the gatekeeper is. It's a guy by the name of Mark Neshes. So I track down Mark. And I tell Mark, look, I'm here for Fox Sports Net. I'd like to get a couple minutes with the president. Huge laughter. Looks at me and says, I know everybody wants that. Just be happy you're here. Enjoy your time here at the White House. And walks away. Now, does anyone know what the rule is on no? How many times you take no before you just stop? Is it 3, 5, 7? Winston Churchill, 1941. Never give up. Never, ever, ever. We go back and forth for probably about an hour. It's not going to happen. Look, it's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, it might happen again. Can you tell me exactly what you're going to ask him? Finally, we get to, okay, it can happen. Here's exactly how it's going to go down. So I call Fox in LA. I said, look, I'm going to get a one-on-one with the president. They're like, really? I said, yeah. And here's the way it's going to go down. They buy the satellite time and everything. So I get the lay of the land. There's so much media there, and everybody's milling around. They're excited to be in the White House. None of these people know that I'm getting the president. They're getting the Red Wings. I'm getting the president. Okay, I walk into the room, in the blue room. There's the president leaning against the mantle. So I'm thinking, oh my God, it's the president. I need an icebreaker. We're in the middle of the Lewinsky scandal, right? So I pull out a cigar. I'm just kidding. So I interview the president. We do a couple minutes. It's great. It goes as planned. We send it back. I get home that night, and I flip on the national Fox News. Keith Olbermann, who's anchoring the news, now I didn't know this, says Bill Clinton had just done his first interview in a year. A couple days later, Baltimore Sun. Headline right there. Davis breaks ice with Clinton for Fox, ending year-long chill. For more than a year, President Clinton hasn't been exactly chatty with the media, turning down individual interviews with one and all reporters since the name Monica Lewinsky hit the papers in the evening news. The president broke his chilly silence late last week, and the reporter who was the beneficiary of the thaw is probably not the first name that would come to mind. Bypassing Wolf Blitzer, Barbara Walters, and Mike Wallace, Clinton last week chatted in the White House with Steve Davis. Yes, that Steve Davis. So, how did I get Clinton? Had this guy from Baltimore, local guy, get Clinton when no one else had been able to do it. I don't think it's any different than when you all are trying to get in front of somebody important, the decision makers, whether you're trying to get that next gala, that next event, that next party, whatever it is. How do you get in front of people that are difficult to get in front of? Number one, persistence. They say the number one characteristic of success is persistence. You just don't take no. Now, you don't become obnoxious, okay, but you figure out a way. When everybody else, when your competitors are taking no, you don't take no. Number two, I believed. I believed when I went to the White House that I was going to get an interview with the president. Now, it doesn't mean when I try to get interviews that I always get them, because I don't. But I believed I would. I think everybody else that was in the media that day would have liked to have gotten an interview, but they assumed that they wouldn't be able to. You know the old, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me? They assumed that they weren't going to be able to. Number three, I put myself in the shoes of the gatekeeper. See, the gatekeeper isn't worried about you. The gatekeeper is worried about him or her, right? They don't want to get yelled at, don't want to get in trouble, don't want to let somebody through that shouldn't get through. Put myself in the gatekeeper's shoes. How is it good for the gatekeeper? Well, the gatekeeper that day, Mark Neshes, got the president some positive publicity. He got an interview with something that had nothing to do with Lewinsky. And number four, I was willing to fail. You know, I mean, I've failed before. I was willing to fail. Every time I go out into an environment like this where I'm trying to get an interview, and I think it's the same thing when you're trying to do whatever it is that you're trying to do, with access to whoever you want, okay? I was willing to fail. I always tell myself, if I don't do anything, if I don't pursue this person or this project or whatever the case may be, I don't have it, right? If I pursue it and fail, what happens? I don't have it. Same thing. I'm in the same exact place, right? I might be frustrated, might be embarrassed, but I'm no worse off. But if I pursue it and succeed, then I have it. And so I went there saying, what's the worst thing that can happen? The same thing that's going to happen to everybody else. I'm not going to get it. So I think that's the same thing for any of you. You have to be willing to fail to succeed.